followed by everyone? We have 30 seconds of 30 seconds of opening remarks, 10 minutes of open floor discussion, and the final 1 minute, extra 1 minute post the 10 minutes of open floor we have for conclusion. Okay, Yash, please put out the topic in the chat box, or you can speak it. Your choice.
Okay, I'll do both. Okay. So the topic for today is censoring internet. How far is it justified? Okay. I'm pasting the topic in chat box.
You have 2 minutes to think about the topic.
We'll start calling out names after 2 minutes. You'll have to speak for 30 seconds.
Okay, time is up. Mayank Somnathe, you begin.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Today's topic is censoring internet, how far it is justified. So the topic itself has two sides, like if it is justified or not for the entire population, or if it is against the justification. So I would like to support the boon side of it, that is censoring the internet is justified because considering 3 to 4 points with respect to the protection of children, with
Okay,
respect
stop. Tia, you go in next.
The internet is a double-edged protocol. So we, on the one hand, we have the education, we have the innovation, and on the other hand, there would be more fundamental that would censor the freedom to speech. So so to a extent, censorship should be to an extent, censorship should be on board because we can't manipulate the thought of freedom to speech.
Okay, stop. Aman.
I believe censorship can be divided. The justification that on what level should censorship happen can be justified on two levels. On an initial level, I would say that it belongs to the user. It's on the user's discretion that whether he wants to have access to that content or not. And on a broader level, I believe that it could be a national interest too. So I believe these are
Okay, stop. Raghav.
Yeah, good evening, panel. So, in my opinion, what I feel is internet censorship is actually much needed, and I feel it's justified. So basically, we do come across scenarios where Gmails, right? They require age verification. Where I remember in the past, only if you are post above a 15 or 14 years of age, you would be having access to open your own account. but it actually makes more sense because since Gmails are used for
Okay,
verifying the
stop.
authenticity of a user. Yeah.
Stop. Bathe the breath.
Good evening, everyone. I am against the topic. To a certain extent, even though it does make sense, but it immediately hampers the freedom of speech and right to expression and all those key points that it gets hampered. Because the thing is, what people don't understand is once this censorship starts executing in the content that we are
Okay, stop.
watching. Yeah.
Shubham.
Hi everyone. I think that internet should be censored to some extent because right now, whatever is happening around the world, especially that Samarena case which is happening, and in that sense, maybe it should be censored to a certain extent. Plus, there are some obscene contents which is floating in the internet. So yes, I think so.
Avinash.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. Before going into today's discussion, first of all, let us understand what is internet censorship. Internet censorship actually refers to the control and suppression of online platform or any kind of online contents by the government or any private entities. The example is, for example, Saudi Arabia, they actually ban, I mean, censors the
Okay, stop.
LGBT kind of.
Stop. We have 10 minutes of open floor discussion. Start.
Why I started against the topic is I have a few points that I want to mention. So one thing that Shubham mentioned was the Samarana case, right? So the thing is whether if we agree or not what they have said, but the thing is the situation that it had turned into is against the freedom of right that I was talking about. So basically, in the Constitution, what it was mentioned in the freedom of rights section is that there for everybody has a right to express their opinion or their views until and unless it does not hamper the sovereignty or it does not impact on the political relation between two countries or it does not impact the religious integrity and morality. But the thing is, this religious integrity, morality, and all those things have not been clearly mentioned ever by the government. So that is one gray area that people can manipulate as much as they want. The thing is, today, when we are talking about censoring social media content or online content, we look after the fact that people who are owning OTT platform like Alt Balaji are given Padma Shri, but we are talking about uh, poor YouTubers talking rubbish on the internet, which I agree it was a rubbish comment to make. But the thing is, it ultimately hampers in the uh, right of or freedom of speech that I
Uh,
Yeah,
believe.
so
so
Veda
That's
Bharat, so I
Yeah.
actually kind of, I have some points contrary to your point of view. So what I feel is actually we have to start looking at the bigger picture, right? So since India's population is actually gradually increasing, so what I would actually like to suggest is we should also focus on the children because we do have geo sims, and because since they have been made more accessible to even more teenagers because of the drastic reduction in costs, I feel the access to the internet by those teenagers would be actually fast track, and hence some websites have been blocked by some internet service providers, which actually is important because these teenagers may not have sufficient brain development, right? So
so
just
but
painting some
I
images
would
of how society works. Yeah.
I would like to add in Raghavendra's point that he actually mentioned the children. So if I'll take the example of my locality. So there's a boy, so he has a habit of consuming a lot of content from the internet, and majorly he sees Instagram, he sees YouTube, and we all know, what kind of content there is, and I don't think so that children of 9 to 10 years of age have that much sense, wherein they can think what kind of content we are actually consuming. They are just consuming it for fun. So what I think is, if a certain kind of disclaimer is there on certain sites, because the government knows that the major consumer of the internet today are the children. So they should be censoring the internet to some kind of disclaimers they should be using, so that the children or certain people, they will get a sense that this content we have to consume and this
But
content we do not have to
Shubham,
consume.
And
when you're
also we
talking
talk
about the children who are aged between 9 to 11 years, at that age, if they have access to smartphones or tablets or in whichever form they are consuming it with an internet connection, I don't think that disclaimers and government making rules and regulations will work. That's more of a parental control thing. If a
Absolutely,
10-year-old
absolutely.
accessing something, it's more of a parental control thing. And let's take the example of Samay Raina's show. It's a 18 plus show that you have to, if we talk about that specific episode, for access to that episode, you need to pay him 60 rupees per month. So I'm not sure if a 9 to 10-year-old
So
is given access to credit
Aman,
card.
here I would
I
like
would
to
like
say
to
that
add one. I would like to add
but
one
Let's
point.
even
I
if
just
think
it's
we are
keep
that
just
session,
we
people.
are
Let's
just going
just
out
allow
of the
Dia to
track
speak,
and
right?
just discussing the Samay Raina's case over here. So considering this power of speech or the point that was given here, so that is only the one point that is getting affected against if the censorship is being done on the internet. There are other points also which are towards the censorship which will benefit it.
But
Like the
Mayank, if you
children.
look at the larger
1 minute,
picture,
let me complete the point at least. There is a issue of national security of it. There is a issue towards the protection of children that you said that okay, it's into the parental control, and also the whole Samay case can be justified with a single word of maintaining a social order. Okay, you are in the platform of YouTube, then you should have a common sense of maintaining that social
and
order.
also
But what is
You
Mayank,
common
should
sense,
look
Mayank,
at
I would like to add
Mayank, you
here.
were talking about common sense, right? What I
social
wanted
order.
to know
I
is
I was talking
what is
about
the
social order.
so
So
what
I was
Mayank,
happens,
talking
but
about
define it.
social order.
what
How can you
happens
define
to the
social order?
social
How can
order
you
when
define social
Nitish
order?
Kumar
I
goes on
think we are
to
going
say the
astray.
same thing in
Uh,
parliament?
Sorry for
Does that
interrupting. I think we are
Sorry
going
for
astray.
interruption. I think so. We are
We are
only
going
focusing
astray.
towards the seminar
And I
only,
think
but
we have
also
a
other things we
panelists.
have to focus on other
I
things
think we have a
because
panelist who hasn't had her chance. So
no,
let her speak
here
first.
I would
no,
like to
even
add.
if
Shubham,
we take
Shubham,
about the
just please
case
wait.
of fake
Yeah.
news control during the pandemic, also we came to know that there were so many other YouTubers or even in Instagram, there were so many people promoting the vaccine is not being vaccine is not effective. There are so many side effects to it, and towards extent, many people believe that thought, and many took a back foot on taking the vaccine. Then probably in 1 year 2 year they had courses on okay without taking the vaccine they might have effect on that, so
But
to an
Tina,
extent many people do believe that. Yeah.
but Tina,
Apart from that,
sorry, so yeah.
what I would
what I
like to
want to
add
mention
is
over here.
that apart from YouTube and other channels, today Telegram is there. So there are many channels which give the access to download the pirated versions of the movies and all those things. So
Hmm.
that is also some kind of internet censorship is there. The rules for uh, this on piracy is are there from maybe many years, but
Yeah,
still the people are consuming those things because they know that if we are not getting this content from this site, maybe we can get it from here. So
and
because
Okay.
there is
also
no
one
I'm
censorship.
other
adding to
point.
your
I
point. SEBI,
Shubham,
SEBI
the
disclaimed
students are
a year ago
back
that
in
we
picture.
shouldn't be influenced by influencers and fake stock market tips. That's also a kind of fake news that you get on the internet. When it comes to censoring, SEBI recently charged on so many fake influencers, but still people are getting misguided and misleaded by these things. So I feel after a certain point, the government or censoring every content won't help. It's the user's decision and conscious to consume it in a safer level.
Aman,
Uh,
I think
Add
we
one
have to,
more.
like I mentioned earlier, I feel there's imminent need for us to look at the bigger picture, which is the children. we all are adults, and hence we are able to come up with these topics. Let's just think about children for a moment, right? If as a child, imagine yourself to be a teenager, right? Just put yourself in their shoes, and let's just assume that you start consuming those content without censorship, right? If government starts paying heed to all these suggestions that all of us have provided against censorship, then I feel even the teenagers won't be able to reach the mental capacity like you and I
But
have.
Raghav,
Yes,
I
I
believe that
agree with Raghavendra that, the children. So basically, there
Shubham,
is
let me just
Instagram.
complete my point. Let me just
Sure,
complete my
sure.
point.
Yes,
So
yes.
I remember during our teenage, actually Gmail had this mandatory age thing, right? So unless you are 13 or 14 years of age, you wouldn't be able to create an account.
But
So I
Raghavendra,
feel
the
that that
definition of
process should be
teenager has
strengthened.
changed. In our times, we used to get our cell phones probably at the age of 17 and 18. Right now, I see 9 and 10-year-olds getting the cell phones, getting.
Yes. I completely agree.
But
So getting access, one
that
second.
comes under the parental guidance, right?
One second,
Yes.
Yeah.
exactly. So, but getting a smartphone doesn't necessarily mean that his or her kid will, go unnoticed, right? So
I
I
believe
think
someone
there.
mentioned Alt Balaji's owner getting a Padma Shri recently, a year back.
Absolutely.
Let's say the government banned porn somewhere around 3 to 4 years back. Then what's not stopping the government from banning all these sites which show so much of nudity, so much of all these things? Why isn't government banning that? The government typically uses its censorship where it benefits. We all know that the
Stop.
larger picture of Samay Raina getting all
Stop.
this hate.
Stop. You have one final minute to conclude as a
Who
group.
would like to conclude? May I know who would like to
Yeah, I would
conclude?
like to conclude over here.
Okay.
So when it comes to internet censorship, we have to look at both sides. Okay, at one side, it would be better to do it on certain things, especially when it comes to the children's usage. Certain things they'll get to know about it, and it might disrupt their capability, thinking capability, and other. In that way, there should be a control. At the same time, just because the internet censorship should be there, it doesn't mean like we should uh, go very intense into it. There should be a balance on it. That's what I would
Adding
like
to
to.
his point, I would like to say that real censorship should happen when ministers use hate speeches, when propagandas are run to maybe instigate riots. That's where censorship should happen, not on silly jokes and petty issues that, on the larger picture, they try to bring the broadcasting bill, wherein
Yeah,
after
yeah.
5 years you won't even know
Okay,
what
stop.
the real news
Okay,
is.
stop. You're done. Okay. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Probably the first fish market I've ever been in.
I think last time's GD, this time's GD little bit better. What I feel like Abhinav sir
When
can tell more
you were
clearly
there
than
in
me.
This
last
was
time,
my
Just
first
a
This
GD.
is
small.
my first.
I actually
GD
tried
खत्म हो
to
गया,
join.
फिश मार्केट बंद करो, एक बंदा बोलो प्लीज.
नहीं, लास्ट टाइम आई ट्राइड टू ज्वाइन बट सर मतलब कोई दूसरा रूम था, तो वो पता नहीं कोई था नहीं, तो फिर मुझे एग्जिट करना पड़ा क्योंकि ऑलरेडी डिस्कशन स्टार्ट हो गया था.
So
I
this was my
feel,
first
yeah.
GD. तो मुझे ये बस पूछना था कि actually does this happen कि एक दूसरे को कट करके भी नहीं
बताऊंगा.
अभी
अमन,
अभी
आप ही
सर
के लिए सबसे
देंगे
बड़ा फीडबैक है मेरे पास.
This was my
One
first GD.
thing which I would like to actually add here is it's the contrast is just mind blowing, Abhinav. See the difference from between GE and GD. Oh my God, the way each and every one of us is hell bent on making sure our points are heard. It's
That
crazy.
is
we
It's
what
can, so
crazy.
that we can get the
Raghav,
marks.
Raghav, we can see the difference way better, right? Because we have been
Exactly.
there in the GE part as well, and now here in
Exactly.
the GD as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Abhinav sir can tell better.
ओके, ठीक है. मैं पहले फीडबैक देता हूँ क्योंकि मेरे पास ज्यादा नहीं है बोलने के लिए. बट ठीक है, सिंस आई वाज कीपिंग टाइम दिस टाइम, सो I'll tell you about the number of entries everyone had. So Mayank, you had one entry. Tia had one entry. Aman had two. Raghav had three. Vedabrat had 1.5 maybe. Uh, Shubham had two and Avinash had one. Now Mayank, you talked. अच्छा ठीक है, वैसे नहीं करता हूँ. पहले who you started Vedabrat, right? So one entry, 1.5 entry is what I told. Started off with very strong opinion that no, you don't support, and then you quoted Constitution as well. Just a minute. And then you quoted Constitution as well. Good point. You talked. You talked for 1.5 minute straight. क्या मतलब बाकी ग्रुप क्या कर रहा था? This fish market should have been avoided there only. वो एक ही पॉइंट बार बार बोल रहा है. What were you doing? Sleeping? Can you allow someone to speak for 1.5 minute? Is it
But
a
is it
monologue?
right if
काटना
we
सही
cut
नहीं
the
होता है
person
ना.
in between?
But
हाँ.
but if someone's
Is it right
speaking in
if
a
we cut the person in between?
मतलब पूरा continued tone, he's not pausing,
I
he's
think
not
I think
Yeah,
that clash is
he was not
necessary
giving
with
the
what I feel.
I'll tell you on how to use interjections. I have already talked about it in the GE batches, in the symbiosis batches that I was a part of. But ठीक है, यहाँ पर भी I'll explain कि कैसे cut करना होता है. A lot of see 1.5 minute you cannot allow anyone to speak, and probably because of that only we had less of discussion and more of monologues. Next, I think Raghav entered. He entered by rebutting Vedabrat ekdam सीधा सीधी. Talked about ease of access and wrongful usage in teens. Again, Raghav also spoke for 1 minute. So understand this thing. I'll put it in numbers, okay? 25% of the discussion was between two people. And you, and the rest of the people, including both of them, were a part of the 75% of the discussion. It's not fair. It's very skewed. In the first maybe 2.5, 3 minutes, you know where you are losing out on. And after that, desperatedness starts to kick in every one of you, and therefore you try to jump up to whatever you are saying and making others believe that yes, your point of view is correct. This is not done. So you should not be allowing someone to speak for 1-2 minutes. 1 minute is too long an entry, and this is a suggestion for both of you as well. It's a red flag. I would not appreciate it if you speak for 1 minute.
Okay.
See, number of entries you can increase, but be very crisp in what you're saying. I do understand that if you are an eloquent speaker, people will not try to cut you, but show a bigger heart by allowing others to speak and listen to their point of view. So if you're the manager someday and you are in a team meeting and you speak for 1 hour straight, do you think your team members are going to interrupt you? But then the agenda of the meeting is derailed. Everybody wants to contribute to a meeting, and similar is the condition in a GD. I've told this again and again. Every evaluation that you are going through, if it was quant, it is for the financial number crunching that you are doing. If it was verbal ability, it is for the number of cases that you are going to read in B schools. If it is logical reasoning, it is for the data crunching and the visualization tools that you'll be using. If it is GD, it is for the managerial skills that they'll be looking forward to. तो पहले बेसिक्स क्लियर किया, उसके बाद जीडी तक पहुंचे आप लोग. जीडी में if you are messing up by taking the limelight, it's not fair. Next, I think third to enter was Shubham. क्या? Shubham
Shubham.
after Raghav. You talked about a neighborhood का लड़का. Again highlighted Raghav's point. So one point you highlighted Raghav's point, and the next point you talked about Telegram and piracy. ठीक है, good point there. For Raghav, sorry, I missed out one more thing. You tried desperately to allow TR to speak. So Shubham was trying to speak something. Maybe it was valuable, I don't know. But he said, Shubham, please wait. Allow someone from the panel has not taken an entry yet. So let's allow them to speak. Then when Shubham was trying to enter, you said, no, Shubham, stop. Please wait. How does it look like third person
I
perspective?
think I did that towards the end, like after ensuring, other than
So what?
Tia.
You cannot ask someone to shut up. No?
Okay.
Also, Abhinav, I just wanted to
Freedom of
ask you one
speech.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take
Abhinav.
questions बाद में.
Okay.
Just note down your mental. I mean, have a mental note of your question.
Sure.
I'll take it. Otherwise, it derails me.
Yeah, sure.
Shubham. And next, sorry, Raghav, the last pointer, the last entry that you made, You again highlighted children ka point of view, and it was again a very long entry. Third one. I really did not like it. You talk to point. Don't talk in lengths. Don't talk
Sure.
at length for a minute is too much, man. I mean, 30 to 40 seconds is what you should be aiming for. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, I won't even count it as an entry, but 30 seconds is decent. So don't go beyond 40 seconds. It's too much. What you
Sure.
do essentially is if I give you a feedback I can give you a feedback within the 10 minutes itself. And if I give you a feedback for 1 hour, probably I'll reiterate my sayings again and again. Will it add value? No. Will it help the discussion? No. But for the sake of speaking, I can give you content for 6 hours. I can talk 1 hour about each one of you on how you performed within the 10 minutes. That is my skill. And that is Raghav's skill. But it is adding value? No. शुभम हाँ शुभम को तो बता दिया टेलीग्राम्स एंड पायरेसी देन अमन you talked about parental monitoring. Your body language was very, 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 very aggressive. It is not appreciated. बहुत ज्यादा aggressive थे आप. It felt like कि मैं नेता को बुला लिया हूँ. I have invited a politician to speak on some topic. Why were you so involved? It was like it is my way or the highway. So don't be like that. ठीक है? Be empathetic, appreciate others' point of view, listen to what others have to say, counter them on points. See, the thing is, you should be logical and not emotional in GD. I think you were swaying too much towards your emotions. I'll tell you what, while you were concluding, you said ki, they give hate speeches but they are not censored. And why do you think they censor jokes? Like, understand this thing. See, leave certain things to social media. And you cannot bring anecdotes and discussions from social media to a civilized discussion that was not much civilized in this case, but it is supposed to be civilized, like a GD. So don't bring, I think you were too emotional, man. I mean, Aman, so sorry, but I really want you to improve on this aspect. You got too involved and your body language was very aggressive. It felt like Arnab's show for a moment, wherein BJP and Congress are fighting it out with each other on Bayanbaji. They are doing. Don't do it, Aman. Be thoda respectful. See, what you say matters, but how you say it matters even more. Okay. You talked about parental monitoring. You talked about SEBI issue about influencers. And you talked about something about porn and ठीक है, Alt Balaji owner getting Padma Shri. I mean, it was too aggressive. You can say it in diplomatic terms. Okay. Tia, you had one entry I could not even follow because of the fish market before and after that. So I just wanted to understand on what you talked. Tia, your
So,
point was something about vaccine, right?
yeah, first I pointed about the fake news scenario because during the COVID time also we faced many fake news and many people were scared to take the vaccine or not. So I pointed out the fake news scenario.
This is so
Then
brilliant. No one talked about fake news. No one talk everybody was बच्चों को सेंसरशिप करना चाहिए और फिर पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अगर ये बोल रहे हैं तो उनको नहीं हो रहा और ये हो रहा है मतलब
but
सारे
my
डिस्कशन
point
बच्चों
was
के
not
yeah that was so
heard by so
excellent.
many. Yeah,
Fake
but
news is
was
such a
not
big
covered.
issue.
Yeah.
Fake news is such a big issue that you could have highlighted it, all of you. And Tia, you have to take the onus on delivering. Nobody else is
Okay.
going to give their spotlight to you.
Okay.
And if they give it, it's a plus on them. It's never a plus on you.
Okay. So I don't know how to cut people in between
I'll
because
tell.
like
I'll tell
okay.
that. I'll tell that. I'll tell the art of interjection also.
Okay.
Mayank, you talked about other points, but I don't follow कि आप other points में क्या कहा आपने? एक ही entry था आपका.
नहीं, I guess two था. Other points में I was talking about the national security part and the misinformation. That was the one thing. And the second was about maintaining the social order of this. They were talking about continuously समय रहना चल रहा था. So it was, I shifted it towards, okay, it is about some maintaining social order also on the internet.
और यहाँ पे वेदव्रत ने भी कूल लूज किया फॉर अ मोमेंट, ही इज लाइक व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय सोशल ऑर्डर।
हाँ, तो फिर मैंने छोड़ दिया, बोला जाने दो, चल रहा है चलने दो. But I also wanted to add one point to Tia's point when she said about the misinformation. वहां मेरे को ऐड करना था कि like combating the misinformation is the main thing in today's world. But फिर कहीं टेलीग्राम वेलीग्राम पे चला गया शायद, so I left it, बोला जाने दो, अब खत्म हो गया ये. And the first monologue
But
वो
not
काटने का
many
बहुत
people
मन
would be
कर रहा था.
emotionally strong, right? To,
Yeah.
yeah.
और वो फर्स्ट मोनोलॉग बहुत काटने का मन कर रहा था, क्योंकि आई हैड दैट टाइमर दैट यू सेड लास्ट टाइम कि एटलीस्ट टाइमर रखो. बट फिर लगा, फिर आप बोलोगे कि काट दिया, वो हो गया, तो मैं
नहीं,
बोला ठीक है.
काट दिया इज गुड, आई टेल यू ना कैसे काटना है।
हाँ, वो
हाँ
ठीक है,
मतलब
दैट
कभी
वाज
कभी
गुड.
फील होता है कि हम लोग ज्यादा एग्रेसिव तो नहीं हो रहे अगर एकदम काट
नहीं
रहे हैं तो।
जैसे बीच में आई ट्राइड, आई गेस मैंने पता नहीं कहाँ पे कट किया था, तो समवन मेंशन्ड कि लेट मी फिनिश माय पॉइंट.
हाँ हाँ हाँ, मैं बता रहा
दैट
हूँ।
पॉइंट वाज जस्ट
ये आपको कहा था राघव ने, या राघव सॉरी,
Oh.
यू
मुझे
टोल्ड,
लगा कि वो पॉइंट बस इलाबोरेट हो रहा था आगे.
राघव ने नहीं, किसी और ने कहा था आई गेस।
आई गेस
अरे
मैंने
मैंने
कहा
I
था
नोट,
नो,
कि
think it was
राघव ने ही कहा
Raghav.
था, राघव ने कहा था आई थिंक।
मुझे उन्होंने कहा था,
इट वाज
पहली
बिकॉज
बार मयंक ने बोला था,
हाँ,
हाँ
मैंने
मयंक ने भी
बोला
कहा
था.
है कि लेट
और
मी,
एक बार राघव ने कहा है।
लेट मी
हाँ हाँ,
कंप्लीट द पॉइंट आपने कहा, या मयंक आपका मैंने लिखा है।
वो सोशल ऑर्डर वाला ही पॉइंट था कि वो कंप्लीट ही नहीं हो रहा था.
अरे
फिर वो,
ठीक है,
नहीं,
तो
मतलब जस्ट सेइंग कि ऐसे हुआ, क्योंकि
ऐसे
लास्ट
नहीं,
टाइम पे थोड़ा वो हुआ.
प्लीज अलाउ मी टू फिनिश बोल सकते हो, लेट मी कंप्लीट
ओके.
द पॉइंट।
हाँ, मतलब हो गया, वो एकदम से आ गया, इट वाज अ
वही
थिंग.
तो होता है, वही तो होता है, इफ यू स्टे हाई ऑन इमोशंस एंड लो ऑन लॉजिक, ये चीज हो जाएगा आपके साथ
तो वेयर डू वी
ऑलवेज।
ड्रॉ द लाइन की, मतलब उसे अपने लॉजिकली पॉइंट को कंप्लीट करने दूं, या मुझे लग रहा है कि पॉइंट
बताता हूँ,
आगे वैलिड नहीं है तो जस्ट कट
तो
एंड
अभी
गो.
मैंने ऑलमोस्ट सबका फीडबैक कवर कर लिया। अविनाश, यू ओनली टॉक्ड इन द कंक्लूजन, सो यू टॉक्ड अबाउट बोथ साइड्स एंड चिल्ड्रन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू अगेन, एंड मैं कंक्लूजन में, अमन भाई आपके पॉइंट्स अच्छे थे, बट यहाँ मैंने बता दिया कि अच्छा नहीं था। ठीक है, सो आई नॉट बी रेपिटेटिव।
एक चीज मुझे सिर्फ पूछना था.
I think Avinash as well gave the definition of what is meant by internet censorship, right?
हाँ,
Yes,
ही
in the
ट्राइड
initial
टू,
Yeah.
part, but
बट
definition
टू
on
लेट
exam.
ना। No, he tried to give it in the first 30 seconds. So
वन
that
थिंग,
Yeah.
meaning to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
अभिनव,
gave.
मुझे पूछना था, लाइक यू मेंशन, लाइक वो सेबी वाला, आई वाज ट्राइंग टू इलैबोरेट ऑन द मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन पॉइंट. तो व्हाट वर यू एग्जैक्टली सेइंग कि उसको प्रेजेंट करने का वे सही नहीं था, या वो आउट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट ही था?
नहीं
द
नहीं, वो प्रेजेंट करने का वे सही नहीं था, आउट ऑफ, आपके पॉइंट्स बहुत अच्छे थे अमन, आई एम नॉट डिनाइंग कि आपके पॉइंट्स वैल्यू नहीं ऐड कर रहे थे। इट वाज प्रॉब्ली आई जज्ड यू मोर ऑन टोन देन क्वालिटी ऑफ कंटेंट। I mean, Yash can have a different point of view, but me as a panel will not appreciate it. See, I am telling you on my perspective. Yash will tell you on his perspective, and therefore we have two panel for GD. I never do it alone, and never does Yash do it alone. Cool. I'll tell you what the art of interjection is. What we talk कि कैसे कट करना है. So 1 मिनट अगर कोई चीज बोलेगा ना, तो ही विल बी वेरी रेपिटेटिव, जो वेदव्रत था कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में बार बार वो एक ही चीज बोल रहा है, एक ही चीज बोल रहा है, तो देन यू कुड हैव इंटरवीन्ड। नेक्स्ट थिंग, and don't intervene like, oh sorry but I want to add here, no, adding to your point, ये एक और पॉइंट बोल दो उसी से रिलेटेड, एंड देन स्पीक योर पॉइंट। ठीक है। नेक्स्ट इज वेदव्रत, सांस लेने के लिए तो रुकेगा ना, ही इज नॉट अ जिमनास्ट जो 1-1.5 मिनट तक सांस ही नहीं लेगा। सो व्हेन ही इज पॉजिंग फॉर ब्रीदिंग, एंटर देन। 2 points where you can make an entry when he is repeating his words again and again, or maybe making the same observation, or when he's pausing for breathing. So जो भी पूछ रहा था कि how to enter or interject in between, these are the two places where you can intervene. I'll take the
अभिनव,
questions after it, but अगर मेरे feedback से related कुछ है तो पूछ लो अभी।
मेरा
फीडबैक,
फीडबैक ही नहीं हुआ, वो डिस्कशन में ही चला गया. यू सेड वन पॉइंट कुछ.
अभिनव सर, ये जो मेरा टेलीग्राम और पायरेसी वाला था, जस्ट मुझे जानना था कि whether I was logical, क्योंकि वो क्या फ्लो में हो
नहीं
था,
नहीं,
बट
सही था, ये भी एक अलग पॉइंट था, काफी अलग पॉइंट था, एंड इट इज लॉजिकल ओनली। वो
थैंक
डिस्कस
यू।
नहीं हो पाया क्योंकि वो एकदम 9th मिनट पे डिस्कस हो रहा था।
हाँ, वो मैं एक्चुअली माइंड में वो बना रहा था, बट फिर वो
अरे इतना
फ्लो में
टाइम नहीं
आया फिर।
मिलता है आपको।
हाँ।
और यहाँ तो 6-7 लोग ही हैं, प्रोबेबली 10 लोग का होगा, तब क्या करोगे?
हाँ, एंड व्हाट आई फील इज कि कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि पॉइंट्स बहुत सारा सोच के रखते हैं, लेकिन हम शुरू में ही बोल देते तो लास्ट के लिए हमारे पास पॉइंट्स नहीं बचते हैं।
So GK, bring in some current affairs, bring in some statistics, then
हम्म।
probably people will agree to what you were saying.
श्योर श्योर।
Mayank, regarding what you were saying, ना मैंने जितना सुना मैंने आपको उतना बता दिया. Probably I did not follow also. See, the thing is, while you're speaking, I'm making notes, and therefore I try to say. तो कभी कभी डिस्कशन इतना फास्ट पेस हो जाता है that I'm not able to make notes. In that case,
Okay,
अगर यश ने कुछ लिखा होगा तो वो बता देगा आपको.
okay, okay.
या राघव?
Yeah, so in the open house discussion, right? So should each of our points be, or the entry should be unique?
No,
Like,
in the open. एक सेकेंड. In the open house 10 minutes का discussion ना, each of your points should be unique. Yes, you can stick to a point of view, but आपका third point, आप बस बच्चों के बारे में बात करोगे तो नहीं चलेगा ना राघव. It will be appreciated if you have a 360-degree perspective on the problem statement.
okay.
Probably from both sides is much better. Most of you were sticking to one side and then saying all things related to that. Have a balanced view.
No, but वो discussion in between discussion we can swip, we can like
Yes.
jump here and there.
Yes. इसीलिए तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि don't conclude in the discussion. Probably if you
हाँ,
conclude too early, you don't have that luxury of switching. Because then the panel
okay,
will take note of what you said in the first minute and what you said in the 8th minute. But if you are presenting your point of view with open statements and you're flowing with the discussion, then probably you have that luxury of saying, no, I said this, but considering this point, I think that point of view is also correct.
If
I hope.
considering this topic within
Hmm.
that 30-second, there would be introduction. So how could you means how
It-
will you introduce like कि दोनों साइड में हूँ मैं, मैंने तो एक ही साइड चला गया था मैं पहले ही कि
हाँ,
नहीं
तो
भाई
पहला
मैंने
30 seconds में तो आपको बोलना ही नहीं. Probably पहला 30 seconds में आपको कहना है, this is the raging topic. You can talk
हाँ,
about somebody talk about somewhere in a controversy in the first 30 seconds. That is also a good point of view.
Yeah, I was there actually that
So
time.
that is also a good point of view. Probably you can talk about how you want to discuss, or how do you think the discussion should go. So probably you can say that this is an interesting topic wherein I think both pros and cons have their own weights. There is logic to pros in case of one example. There is logic to cons in case of another example. थोड़ा जल्दी बोलना पड़ेगा आपको.
हाँ,
Let's take this discussion with an open mind and let's see what conclusion does the group arrive to. I think this is
okay.
the perfect way to start your 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes, Vedabrat.
So I had two query. एक तो solve हो गया that regarding this taking side. So I immediately took the cons wala side of it. So what I wanted to know is that so I continued, as you have said that I have continued for 1.5 minutes, right? So while I was doing that, I also realized that I am uh,
Why you
like
are
I am
not being cut?
continuous. I yeah, exactly. So
So
I also realized that I am speaking continuously, but nobody is cutting me. So that is why I didn't wanted to stop
no,
because I thought that at that point of time that if I would have stopped, people would think that I have uh ended my points or things like that.
No,
the
Uh,
thing
that's not
is,
the
the thing
case.
is, if you
See,
have variety of points and if you have the power of saying whatever you want to say in lesser words, it
mm,
makes more sense. Why do you think people make PPTs?
uh,
Hmm.
They should be recording themselves 2.5 hours, right? Why do they
uh,
make PPTs?
yeah,
Because
to
not
that's
concise the
everybody
data.
requires two and a
Yeah.
half hours.
Right.
Mm,
if you keep on just generating text like ChatGPT because you were not interrupted, you will dilute your own points. You will, I mean, that will you will start with. So you started and you continued on for like 1.5 because you started. The evaluator will be like, okay, yeah, this guy has started the discussion. He has brought in good points, plus, and then he realizes it's more than a minute that you're talking, minus.
Minus.
Okay. So
Understood.
that is what will happen. So you'll lose whatever points you'll gain. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll stop
So
basically. Like if nobody is intersecting me, I'll stop and I'll just say that let's listen to other point of views and things like that. Or how will I
Or you
conclude?
can just stop. You can say your points and then stop. This is a
Okay.
very powerful psychological trick. You can make the whole group show in the negative light. You can talk
Okay.
about your point of view for 30-40 seconds max, not even 40.
Ah.
Complete it within 30 seconds and then just
Mm.
stop. And then look at each other.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Look
so
at other
nothing
people
like
like,
what
yeah,
you
what do you have to say? So that is, everyone will be like, the evaluator will be like, okay, this is such a generic topic. Why is nobody springing to action? Okay. Yeah.
So for the opening statement, if I want to explain what the topic is as Avinash did, so if I'm coming as a third person or fourth person, is it the right time or should I just give a different?
It's completely fine. See, in a group discussion, there will ideally be 8 to 10 people. Not everyone can start in the first three entries, right? You more often than not, you can be the person who gets a chance later on to speak.
I'll tell you
But
what, in this group discussion, if you're making it to the fourth, in that group discussion, you'll be the first.
yeah,
Mark my words. I have seen
definitely.
people from the symbiosis batches, जो यहाँ पे fourth, they were the fourth or fifth to start, and they were the first one to start there. It depends on two things. First, the practice, and the next thing is how much knowledge you have about that particular topic and how
Yeah,
confident you are that day. Two
Right.
things.
yeah, right.
Sorry, I'm done with my feedback
Yeah,
and queries also. For now, let's hold on to your queries for a
yeah.
moment.
Let
Let
me
Yash
give my
complete his feedback, and then probably we can
yeah.
jump back.
So one feedback I want to give to all of you as a group is a lot of you did not touch on the most relevant topics. Okay. First of all, nobody tried to define what censorship is. I think one of you tried to and then you got interrupted or something. Okay. So I felt like you should have uh first thing I want to say is, Aman, you lost a lot of points. I have similar observations to Abhinav. You lost a lot of points because of your body language and the way you were talking to people, even when you had good points. Okay. But you lost the last point that I had given you. You lost it when you introduced a new point in conclusion. When you suddenly brought about the hate speech thing, that should have been one of the things that you could have said earlier, much earlier in the discussion. I think when someone said that, we need to send, like when Raghav was clinging to the whole teenagers and the whole children thing, you could have said that, that is still a possibility. What is definitely reaching everyone is the hate speech. And somehow hate speeches are not getting censored at all. And only most of the censorship is hitting creators. Okay, so I understand, like I'm telling you this point of view. I'm not telling you a new point of view. You were towards the end, you were anti-censorship. So this is how you could have, said it in very less words. Like this won't even take 12 to 13 seconds to talk. And if you say it like that, it will suddenly challenge everyone. Okay, everyone who is pro censorship, you will instantly challenge them that, okay, what about this? Okay, also one more thing, doing whataboutery is not a good thing, but there is a way of doing that. Okay, so it should not feel like whataboutery. That can be an answer to someone who is trying to do that. Okay. Some topics that you guys totally missed on, especially whoever's anti censorship, you guys should have talked about. Have you heard about Radio Rwanda? Any of you?
sorry.
Radio Rwanda, RWANDA, Rwanda. No.
No.
So, do you know what Rwanda is? It's
It's a
a
country
it's a
in
country in South
Africa.
Africa.
ये भी नहीं पता है आप लोग को? किसी को नहीं पता है? What's
नहीं,
Rwanda?
Rwanda I know,
नहीं
but
नहीं
बहुत बड़ा
इतना पता है
जेनोसाइड
Rwanda
हुआ
I
था
don't
भाई
know.
अपना रवांडा में, ठीक है. और रेडियो
European
रवांडा ये
countries are
टर्म,
dumping their
हाँ,
radioactive, वो सब ना वही है ना?
नहीं, दिस इज अबाउट समथिंग एल्स. वहां
Okay.
पे जेनोसाइड हुआ था, अबाउट एथनिक क्लेंजिंग हुआ है वहां पे बहुत बड़ा. I hope you guys know what ethnic cleansing
This
is,
is
right?
recording.
Huh?
The meeting is recording.
अरे ठीक है, it's a documented, very well documented. There is no gray area about this. So Radio Rwanda में क्या, you should have talked about this because Radio Rwanda में क्या हो गया था कि for ethnic cleansing, how they swindled the population was they blasted propaganda all day, and one fine day, not one fine day, slowly and steadily, a certain one side of the population, they started committing genocide against the other people. So the Radio Rwanda is a perfect example of how you could say that, this is if we let censorship get too far, like where does it stop, right? Vedabrat, I think you wanted to say that, but because you got
Yes. I wanted to say that
yeah,
where does it stop?
yeah. So because you got emotionally invested in this discussion, you
Yes, I was trying to sum up that whole thing into a future coming broadcasting bill in my conclusion. So was it wrong to conclude with that? या वो एक initial topic हो सकता था?
if you bring a new point in the conclusion, it is viewed as very, very selfish of you, and you will definitely lose points for bringing a new point in the conclusion, because conclusion is supposed to be an objective summary of the entire group discussion, and it should include each and everyone's point of view, no matter whether you believe with whether you agree with them or not. As someone who concludes, it is your responsibility to include all of the points that were discussed. If you don't do that, if you deliberately leave something out, you'll lose points for that. Okay, so don't bring new points in a conclusion, especially the way you talked about it was, again, it was very strong, and you're in the end you were posing a question after which nobody could counter you for that. And this is what I'm telling you in general, because I completely agree with that point of view. I agree with your POV. But what will happen is, because you know that there is no way that someone can counter your point of view now that you're saying that in the conclusion, then it looks very bad on you. It looks like, you're trying to be, not exactly very ethical with, you don't, it will be like you don't have an open mind, because you're pulling a fast one on your homies. That's basically how it will be seen. Okay, so one thing I'll want to give you guys, one opinion I'll give you guys is, in the first 30 seconds, try to not choose one side completely. Okay, because what happens then is, in the open floor discussion, it becomes hard to, accept other points. Maybe you can start with, in the first 30 seconds, like how I would start is, I understand in this day and age where information warfare is one of the most emerging strategies, I feel internet censorship largely is unnecessary, but we should work towards more about moderation. Okay, someone should have brought in moderation over censorship. Do you know what is the difference?
So, like moderation is like little tweaking in that thing, and censorship
One
is
thing is
complete banning.
manipulation and one thing is blanket banning. One thing is manipulation and one thing is blanket banning.
One thing is more, so censorship is mostly, it is very blanket, it is very regressive. Okay, censorship is very regressive. For censorship, you don't need to, I mean, whoever is doing that censorship, he doesn't need to justify why he has censored something. Okay, and most probably the reason will be very, very regressive reasons. Like I know all of you might have, been frustrated about watching Hollywood movies in our theaters because they censor some words, some curse words they
Lines.
censor, and you are like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this, right? John Wick, I was frustrated very much because they censored all of the gore scenes. I mean, why am I watching John Wick for, right? What am I watching?
Yeah.
So this is what censorship is about. It is a one blanket thing. No, this is bad and we are censoring it. On the other hand, moderation is more about reason. Like, moderation is more about this will have bad effects. Like, for example, hate speech getting censored, that is more of a moderation thing. Okay, there is a reason why Reddit is a more trustworthy platform than Quora. I can't believe I'm saying this, that Reddit is a trustworthy platform, but there is a reason it is slightly more trustworthy, because on Reddit you'll find in communities that people they don't trust anyone. There are flares that you can set in different subreddits if you don't know, and that flare is usually if let's say you are in a subreddit about legal advice, so that flare will usually be about whether you are a lawyer or not. So anyone who is reading your comment, he knows that you are a lawyer, so that is why your opinion might be more trustworthy. If you are not a lawyer, it can be like not a lawyer, that kind of flares. It's up to the community admins. Okay, so you could cite this example even that that I am not entirely against censorship. I just want it to be more of a moderation about trying to eliminate parts that harm the population, or they are antisocial elements, like what Mayank wanted to say, the social order thing. Okay, maybe rather than saying social order, again, that sounds kind of authoritative. Authoritative as in not, I mean, from your point of view, but as you could be seen as someone who supports authoritarian tendencies or regimes. Okay, so like what social order are you talking about? Rather, you can say that censorship is needed to curb antisocial elements. That's a very diplomatic way to say it, right? So
Okay.
yeah, so I have a lot of similar feedback about you guys that like Abhinav, but so I'll try to omit those points that have already been discussed. Okay, so Mayank, in your solo, you said I am totally pro censorship and this. Again, the point about no, don't stick to a single side at least in the first 30 seconds. Okay, try to
Yes, sir.
in whatever you're speaking, try to show that you are open for discussion. Okay,
Yeah.
no matter what your opinion might be
Okay.
about that topic. Okay, Tia, your solo was very nice. You started with internet is a double-edged sword. So I really like that, but I didn't see you in the open floor discussion, but I won't deduct marks for it because uh, you tried to speak a few times in the middle, but you were not let to. Okay, and whoever interrupted you multiple times, they will definitely lose marks. Okay, because it's fine if you are not able to interrupt someone, but if someone is repeatedly doing that and they are being very insensitive towards people who have not yet contributed, like Avinash, he came he talked in the conclusion because even he was not allowed to speak in the open floor discussion. Okay, and I remember his points that were actually in the last GD we conducted. His points were actually very nice, very valuable insights he gave. Okay, so maybe some of you could have also talked about how India has the most number of internet bans, right? Have you seen that chart? That statistic that per year how many times India has banned the internet? It is we are at the top. We are
Even
about
when it comes to press index, like free press index.
Exactly. One of you could have, okay, this is a far-fetched thing, but while you're saying about where does it stop, you can say that one of the worst examples of heavy censorship is North Korea or countries like China, right? Where your opinion is can be very easily stifled by in the name of national security, right? You could have talked about all of these things. I didn't hear any of you guys talk about these very relevant points. The point about fake news that Tia wanted to talk about, that was extremely relevant to this. Okay, that we need censorship, but we need censorship against antisocial elements. We don't want censorship to hit people who are trying to voice their original opinions, who don't have an agenda behind it. They're just trying to, there is something called as artistic liberty too, right? None of you brought that in, right? And I was it's a good thing that none of you guys mentioned this, but I thought that one of you might say that why is Ranveer Allahabadia saying something that was completely crass and cringy? Why is that national news and a topic to be discussed in the parliament?
Parliament.
Why is it so? Because the government wants to bring in that broadcasting act, right? They tried to do that a few months ago, but all of the content creators they opposed it heavily. They put out a lot of petitions, and they essentially they before it could even gain speed, they showed that everyone is against it and everyone is already talking about it. So now, like previous tricks of the same the same modus operandi is to pick up a topic that is popular, highly sensationalize it, and then justify it to bring in draconian laws. I expected some of you to, at least one of you. I mean, I was expecting Aman to say that, but he did not. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, these are very. Someone talked about Alt Balaji, and I think it was Aman, right?
No,
You said that.
Someone mentioned it initially, then I re-mentioned it.
Yeah. So them getting Padma Shri, right? But how you put it, it was very it was not. I mean, I didn't get your point in the first place. I thought, like, are you saying that things like Alt Balaji don't get censored and people like journalists get censored? Is that what you wanted to say, or you said that then what's stopping the government from taking action against these people? So it is
Basically,
justified.
what I was trying to convey,
That censorship is justified.
I was trying to convey in some to a limit. I was trying to compare it to Samay's situation.
Acha.
If you're trying to censor such a small thing, then why not first go there and ban that? अगर society आपकी इतनी खराब इससे हो रही है, तो पहले उससे ज़्यादा हो रही होगी.
Okay. All right. ठीक है. Mayank, the very first time the fish market situation happened, I think you remember that the trick to how to emerge as a winner. You kept on talking, and then eventually rest of the people, they just shut up, right? But I would have appreciated it if your argument was not repetitive. It was kind of repeating the same thing again. Let me complete. Okay, probably say that please let me finish or something like that. But yeah, that was very strong. And okay, so
No, I thought of like discussing the other points also, because the freedom of speech was being discussed for the 5
I'm
minutes.
talking about the way that I'm now, this feedback is not about content anymore. Now I'm talking to you about how you performed. Okay.
Okay.
So that was a good thing. Just use an alternative phrase like what Abhinav said, right? Don't say like please let me complete. Okay, that sounds like a debate on national news. Okay. So
Okay. Yes.
yeah. Aman, your solo was kind of vague. Maybe be more aware of the 30-second mark. 30 seconds, within 30 seconds, you have to say something valuable that will make your solo memorable. Like how Tia's started with internet is a double-edged sword. I remember it. Right? So try to be very crisp in your in the first 30 seconds. Okay. Because those are, I believe, though, if it happens in this way, that will be separately evaluated. Could be. It could have separate marks. Okay. Lots of you had too many entries, Aman. Okay. You gave a very strong rebuttal to Shubham. That was good. But then in the fish market situation that ensued, you kept on talking about, you kept on basically bickering with someone else. Okay. So try to avoid confrontation. Okay. It is more of a group discussion. You can even call them out. You can say, please let's not forget this is a discussion. So you can talk, you can come from that way also. Okay.
इसमें I had a thing जो मैं question मैं बाद में पूछ लूँ या अभी complete with your feedback. Like मुझे तीनों का वो चाहिए, like Abhinav mentioned थोड़े देर पहले, like when Tia was speaking but someone interrupted, so I was like, how do we draw lines? कि supposedly someone was saying something, I caught बीच में and I started saying, but पीछे से someone's already saying, so do I go strong and
interrupt
keep on
नहीं
saying?
करना है. See, that is the difference. You should not interrupt there is a difference between interruption and interjection. Okay, like what Abhinav said about how you can interject. He told you a few tricks, right? Like when someone is breathing, or when someone is nearing the completion of the point. It should not seem like you are interrupting someone. Okay.
But कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि like someone started मेरे साथ में ही, we both are speaking, and I know कि उसने अभी तक he hasn't given us points. So do I stop or I just go on with it?
No. In that, yeah. So if it can go both ways. If you give that power away, it can look negatively also. But because that person had not spoken yet, you can what you can do here is you can continue speaking, because that person anyway didn't speak until now. Probably he won't keep on. Okay, he got interrupted. He'll let you speak. So you can speak, and when you finish talking, you can give the spotlight to that person. Then you can say, and Tia wanted to say something. Can you please continue? Okay, so that is one way you could do that. Okay. Yeah, Raghav, you were too pro, and you kept on repeating the same point. You tried to do a rebuttal of Vedabrat's point, but it was good how you started, but it lacked content. It lacked that justification of why you don't feel Vedabrat's point is relevant. But then later on, you got interrupted by Shubham. And you also one good thing is you tried to bring the group back to the track. I believe you said like we are going astray or something like that, and you also gave the mic to Tia in short. Okay, I think you were the person who said that I think someone a few panelists have not contributed yet and they want to. Okay, yeah, Vedabrat, very strong and very good points, very strong rebuttals also, but try and be a bit less emotionally involved, because if they see you riled up, you'll definitely lose, because they can see that you are not looking at this objectively. Okay, so yeah, Shubham, yeah, you talked about the only thing I remember about you is you talked about the piracy thing and a few other points where and the reason for this is because I found you piggybacking on a few of other people's points. What it means is you were like, yeah, I agree with this, and then you justified the same thing. So you should come with a few new points.
Yeah, that Telegram and piracy thing was, the thing which I thought.
Okay. Avinash, good attempt at the conclusion. Probably try and try to get 1 point at least in the entire GD, but that should be something that no one has yet discussed, and that is very relevant. Okay, so maybe you could try and get an in and talk about the fake news getting censored. Sorry, fake news that need to be censored. Okay, you can even quote an example. You can say how there is a certain mouthpiece by the name of OP India, and how they continuously keep on spreading fake news, and despite getting fact checked a lot of times, they will start making memes through their Instagram handles on fact checkers. So there is high need for censorship against these miscreants, right? So that is something you could have said. Okay, this is how you could have said it. Yeah. Apart from that, yeah, that's what that's all my feedback is about. Try to bring in points like freedom of press, information warfare, age restriction thing. Also, you guys talked about. Okay, moderation over censorship is what I was really looking forward to someone coming up with that. But yeah, it's fine. Overall, all right. I mean, I'm neither disappointed nor happy about how the GD went. But yeah, all
Yes,
the
yes,
best.
yeah. You can close the recording probably. Then we can take the question.
Okay.